Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Today on Collection Lessons, I want to talk about when the money isn't real. Everything on this channel is not anything advice, I say, and it's part of the Collection Lessons series, so let's get into it. So, what I want to talk about today is when the money isn't real. So this usually applies to either my YouTube channel of cryptos, or it even applies to like if you use your credit card rather than physical cash. So it's actually, there's a few points in this that I want to go through. So the first point is Dave Ramsey. I know I talk about him a few times on this video, on this channel. He's got really great content and research and that type of thing. And he, with his company, found that when the money isn't real, you don't actually have the same feelings for it. So if you think of let's say with $50, right? If you think of $50 right now on a screen, it's not a lot, but if you hold, 5 tens or a $50 bill itself, right? And you physically hold it, and when you physically give it to somebody else, you'll feel, in your brain, you'll feel like a little, like pretend this is a brain, and you'll feel it in your brain, the same pain sensor of like physically getting hurt. This is a really interesting face, but yeah, basically you'll feel, in your brain when you hand cash over in hand, the same pain points basically as physical pain. And you don't feel that when you hand them over such a thing as a credit card, because the credit card, it's just a piece of plastic, right? And you're like, oh, swipe done, and I got it, right? And you're happy with that instant gratification of whatever you got. So it's interesting, if you were to take a challenge, let's say for a month, and not use your credit card and only use cash, you would start feeling it, and you'd be like, I don't really want it to go away, right? Like I don't really want this $50 to leave me, and you'll treat the money differently. And that's kind of the point of this episode, is you'll treat the money differently physically from when you have it compared to when you virtually have it. You can convince yourself otherwise, but you don't feel, and they've done tons of research on this, they don't feel the same pain points if you use a credit card or if you use virtual money. And that's one thing with e-transfers or cryptos, like I talk in my videos, or anything virtual, you don't feel the same thing. And where does this kind of apply to is actually, if you think about it, where else do you exchange your dollars for? Let's say you exchange this $50 for something else called a poker chip, right? And you have these chips, and what do the chips do? Well, they actually disassociate your reality to money, right? That's why you go like, well, I'm all in, right? Because you're like, oh, these chips, you feel like they're worth $50, but you don't feel like they're worth $50. It's a different feeling, right? And that's what casinos or different places try to use to disassociate you. Rutgers is another one, from the physical pain of your money leaving you, right? You exchange it, you're like, sweet, I got $50 in chips, I got $50, they're worth the same, but that disassociation is actually happening behind the scenes in your mind, right? And it's really interesting, if you were to, let's say play Monopoly, and this is I'll link a video in the description of a guy named Adam Carroll that did this, and it was called the $10,000 experiment, I believe. And what he did is they played Monopoly with the Monopoly money, to start, and they played the game, and people were like spending it, whatever, and everything. And then he exchanged it in the next game they played of Monopoly. He actually put $10,000 of cash on the table, and he said, we're playing with this, right? So he's got the fives, the tens, the 20s, the 50s, the hundreds, right? He actually went to the bank, and what he saw was a huge difference in how the game was played. So most people, when they play Monopoly around the board, they start buying houses, buying properties, that type of thing, and there's no real side effects of it, right? There's no, you get the building, you're like, oh sweet, I'm playing a game, right? And that's what Monopoly kind of does, is to make it fun, is disassociate you from what the actual money is, because the money doesn't really mean anything in Monopoly, right? But if you put real cash on the Monopoly table, the game changes completely, right? It's kind of like if you play online poker. Like, I know this is online poker, where you sit around a table, you get the two cards, and then you get like, the only thing of your balance is like, let's say it's 2,500, and you're like, what does 2,500 mean? Does that mean like pennies? Does that mean like $25 or is that 2,500? It doesn't feel real. So what do they do in poker games and online poker games is they draw you some virtual stack of chips so you have some feeling behind it, right? And this could be a test account. It could be like just playing around on a video game of poker or whatever. But then it's like when you actually put the money into an online casino, it actually starts disassociating you from your dollars again. And then you treat the poker game a little differently because you're like, it's real money. I can't just be like, give me some more money, Mr. Dealer, because the dealer doesn't exist when you use your real money. But it's really interesting. I wanted to share that. It's called When the Money Isn't Real, and it's a good experiment if you want to watch the video that I shared here with the guy named Adam Carroll that did this with Monopoly, or if you want to look more into it about Dave Ramsey talking about the physical pain that you feel here when you transfer your actual cash, your paper bills, into a vending machine or to give it to someone. You feel the pain rather than with your credit card or that type of thing. So wanted to share that with this video. It's pretty interesting stuff if you look at the psychology of money, and how people disassociate you from your money, and with the casino chips, like I said, or the poker table, or whichever. It's pretty interesting to look at. So wanted to share that with this video. Thanks, and talk soon.